Welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Didi and Lital.
Hello, Didi. How's it going?
Things are awesome, especially now that you're back.
Oh, I'm back from Tel Aviv. Been there for a week. I found the best week to go when they had demonstrations, closing of everything, and wow, people are involved, politically aware, and getting out to the streets over there. In France too, you know, it's amazing how people would go and act on things they believe in. I wonder what would make, 10% of the population in the U.S. actually go and demonstrate for something here. What would take to move people out?
If somebody takes a Super Bowl from Brady, that will get me in the streets.
Not 10% of the population. What's new around your life?
So let me start with being grateful for you being back. So now I get to sleep at least 1 hour more every morning because I've been getting...
Somebody else is making the kids breakfast.
Exactly. I hate making breakfast in the morning. I hate mornings in general.
But you have the Peloton for yourself when I'm away.
That's
kind of like...
Yes, it's the pros and cons.
Yes.
And I discovered that the kids have no idea about The Wizard of Oz because I was playing Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, and they didn't know where that comes from.
So you realize how he calls me.
No, God, no. You are my savior.
Okay.
You are Galinda. In case you don't know, Elphaba, Wicked Witch, but Galinda is the nice witch.
Okay. And the week before I was away,
Yes.
you were away
I was
in Dallas.
In Dallas.
In a conference. It's conference time,
it's
guys.
Conference season.
And you know how I feel about conferences in cybersecurity, but we kind of like have something good to say. So we wanted to share because everybody, if you didn't listen to our long rant at the beginning of our season, talking about conferences and marketing in cybersecurity, go back, listen to that. I was very voiceful about, vocal, about what I dislike in conferences.
Yep.
And Didi is back and he was saying that it was
I was
awesome.
very happy.
Yeah.
So last time I was this excited about a conference was in 2013 when
Gartner IAM.
Gartner
right?
IAM. Let's do a shout out to Gartner because usually I give them such a hard time, and analysts in general, about the fact that their advisors they have no skin in the game. This time, I want to give them a shout out because if they do a good job, they should get a shout out. And the Gartner IAM conference, I think soup to nuts was perfect.
Why? Is it because it's smaller and it's a niche and not kind of like RSA conference that tries to be everything for everyone?
No, I think it's more the meticulous selection of talks and the meticulous selection of kind of shepherding who comes in. That's why I wanted to say that the first one that I was really impressed was way back when was reInvent in 2013, 2012, 2014.
That was early days of reInvent, right?
It doesn't matter. It was really good. It was really focused. It really got developers talking to developers. And a lot of this came from what the talks were, how they focused and the vendors and controlled what vendors show
like
up.
The early days of Black Hat.
It's
before it became like a vendor show.
And this, exactly. And one of the things I love about this Gartner IAM conference was it had the right delineation between who's a vendor, who's an attendee, who's a buyer, even the tags, who's an analyst. You got this in the tags. The tags themselves were color-coded and it was very clear when somebody came to your booth who does what.
Okay.
And they were very good at governing that to make sure that the big ones don't overshadow the little ones.
The vendors. Yeah, I think what I like, I never been to IAM, that's not my field, but I've been many times to the Security Summit, which is happening this year in June. And the thing that I do like about it is like it's even playing field. Like everyone gets a very similar booth. Everybody gets to play in the same arena. It's pretty nice from that standpoint.
And that balance allows to have a lot of these conversations. Also, they govern very tightly on to make sure that the big ones can't throw massive
Shitload of money.
exactly massive parties and basically
Like you will have in 2 weeks' time at RSA when it's like craziness, vendor spend.
yes.
I think this year we're not going to see craziness. Like I'm talking to a lot of folks. We're all focused on getting ROI out of it, which still to be confirmed if it's possible to get ROI from a conference that is in San Francisco with flights are very expensive, hotels are crazy expensive. So
I think you can. I think Java 1 was very, very good for everybody. I think Oracle World was very, very good.
back in the days,
No. Oracle World maintained, as long as Oracle was relevant, Oracle World was very focused because the fact that you do own and govern the tone and not outsource, a lot of the companies outsource the conference to somebody else. And then when it's a for-profit company managing the conference, just for the conference, RSA conference is not owned by RSA, it's owned by
a company that bought the brand from RSA.
exactly.
Yeah.
And they're doing this for profit. And the best way to make a profit is if the big guys can pay a lot, get them to pay a lot more, and then you break the playing field. Gartner, I think, cares about their brand, and they want to stay on topic. So they govern the talks. They don't...
So they care more about the topic than
They care more
the
about...
actual
I think they care... They want to...
parade.
They do want to make money out of the conference, but they know that they don't want to butcher the brand because they make money more out of the reports, the consulting gigs, the continuous conversations, the dinners, the everything that comes with the brand, a lot more than I think they make out of the individual conferences. Versus, because I remember that in the early days they had something similar to that that Matan and I went to in Florida. It was about data science and ETLs and all the integration stuff. And that was also very well done. It was very, very well done, very, very well governed. You could actually have effective conversation as a buyer from the vendors. You could block time off, we got serious FaceTime with valuable people out of TIBCO. We got valuable time out of valuable people out of IBM, something that was a harder thing to get way back when there was no internet, there was no LinkedIn, there was no Calendly.
That is the thing. You're talking about attending a conference back in the early 2000s versus today when, to actually have a value of, taking a plane to the other coast and, spending a week out of your home office, you need a good reason for that.
Yeah.
And content is, at the end of the day, the content has to be different enough from things you find on YouTube or things you read, and it's hard to get unique content.
That's the upside of talking to smaller vendors like ourselves. Matt was there, I was there, Anna was there. You could get talking to the CEO, the CTO, the CMO. You could, if partners talk to us, they get real. We literally whiteboarded on the back of my Chromebook of, hey, this is how we can do things.
I still think it's because it's a niche. Because at RSA, all of us go. Yes, also the CMO, the CRO, the VP, whatever.
But the cost is prohibitive from the customers from getting there.
Yes, correct. But also, whomever is there, the problem is it's too broad. It's too big. The topic is everything. You get every vendor on earth, including all the earliest possible stage companies that come there to get funded for the next round, because this is where they meet their VCs. And at the end of the day, the competition on attention is tough. I think this specific example that you've been to, you've seen ROI because how many competitors you have in the field or players? I'm sure the big guys, the Oktas, the Microsoft were there, the startups, who else?
So there's a lot. So there's, first of all, the service providers. This field has a
Sure.
lot. So basically, all
Every field in security have
exactly
the
all
MSSPs
so all,
and
all
integrators.
all the integrators, all the MSSPs were there.
Yep.
All the big players, which are Cisco, Okta, Microsoft,
Sure.
Ping. There's quite a few big vendors, and don't forget that a lot of the passwordless companies got a lot of money in Series A. Transmit, I think, got like $500 million in Series A or something like that. So
Yeah.
they were there. FIDO Alliance and the government are funding a lot of things with the identity
And we
aspect.
just had, if you're interested about what's new over there, check our latest episode about
Passwordless.
passwordless.
And FIDO, yes. There's been a lot of presence from the different players that are kind of adjacent, like AWS and Google, and so everybody was there. It's just nobody had that main central booth that took up everything.
The Didi and Lital show will return in a moment. The Didi and Lital show is sponsored by ORT. In today's world, identities are the perimeter protecting the organization and are the most exploited vector by attackers. If your security teams are struggling to maintain control of identity management tools, ORT can help. ORT offers a centralized platform for discovering, monitoring, assessing, and remediating identity threats to your business. While most security platforms can take weeks or months to start identifying and remediating risks, with ORT, your security teams can get started in as little as 30 minutes and start securing the identity perimeter immediately. ORT will surface the most critical vulnerabilities and give your security teams the recommended action steps. Start your trial today at ORT.io. That's OORT.io. The Didi and Lital show is sponsored by Hunters. Hunters is a SaaS platform purpose-built for security operation teams, providing unlimited data ingestion and normalization at a predictable cost. Hunters helps SOC teams mitigate real threats faster and more reliably than SIEM. Visit hunters.ai to learn more.
Here's something that was very interesting to me. So I didn't get exactly into an argument, but I did get into an argument with one of the analysts because he was talking about, speaking of our previous episode, Ryan did a very, very good job of explaining why you need to break the suite sometimes. And the analyst was saying that no, what you should do is get everything out of Microsoft or Okta. And love them both, partnering with both. You need to ask yourself what your business needs are. Also, he said that there's still legitimate use cases for SMS, and I don't think that exists. I think the analysts should take a much stronger position. I think they just don't want to piss off Twilio and some of those players. They should just say, hey, SMS should be taken out of the equation right now. It's not
Safe anymore.
It's not safe anymore.
Proved to be
It's proved not to be safe.
vector of attack.
Exactly. And the banks are doing an awesome job, like I showed you with our Citibank. Citibank now allows you to authenticate with QR code through the app. They allow you to do a whole bunch of
I'm
stuff.
upset on them. The app stopped working and I cannot scan checks anymore. So and they emailed me when I complained. They emailed me saying, "Oh, reply back with your bank account information. I should show it to you so you freak out."
Okay.
No, you wouldn't have mentioned them as
No,
doing good stuff. If you've seen this email.
I like the app. I like the same.
Not
goes.
working for me currently. So
Yeah, but your
Citibank.
but your
Yeah.
phone is like malware central, so we're
I
not
don't
there.
think so. That's not a problem. Okay.
Another, but it was an interesting talk. As
I think so. So on this topic, I hear it a lot. I also had a conversation this week with Gartner analyst. Great conversation. Loved it. There is a trend of consolidation. He mentioned it as well in my field of, everybody's going Microsoft, E5 license. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Yes. So there is like, do you want to buy your complete stack from one vendor? Or do you prefer a best of breed? I think that some cutting edge companies understand that if they want to be ahead of the game, sometimes best of breed is the right way to go.
Yep.
But I do understand, striving for simplicity. Procurement is pushing for that.
So
I understand the stance.
I think this
Consolidation.
I completely understand the consolidation aspect.
Yep.
The thing that is still not, it is very much so on the endpoint. So to be completely transparent, we're looking at using Microsoft ourselves for the EDR because A, I still don't want to pay money to CrowdStrike, and B,
To your own EDR internally at all.
exactly.
Okay.
Because I think if we're getting a Microsoft license, make the most of it. But the fact is we are using Okta for MFA. We're not using Google. We are breaking the suite because we do believe that a dedicated vendor, if you're in the security space, you should care. And right
So
now,
finding the best in each and every field.
and specifically this
Not the
one,
best
when you interact,
best of breed.
best
sorry.
of breed. So it actually does come back to what the analyst was saying about the need to evaluate the business. And if I'm in retail, what Microsoft gives me is not thinking retail, because retailers that you can't own the phone, you can't. There's a whole bunch of things that come with this. Think of education. We talked a little bit about our kids and the teachers. I don't know if a simple the way that a veteran enterprise person will know what to do with work with the teachers.
I think, but the reality is that, if you're in retail, though, the other point is you are a big Asia shop because you're not going to go in with AWS, obviously. Yep. So you get all the security on top in such a sweet deal that is almost nothing.
Yep.
Those blanket nice licenses that procurement likes, the CIO, head of IT, everybody likes. So it's very tough, I think, for the security people to say no, but we want the best of breed, we want this startup and this solution.
So
I know, I'm there.
So for me, I love the fact that we are having this discussion, because I'm going to ping Mike to cut this out and stick it on our website, and attach it to the good enough is not good enough. Mainly because it is that good enough is not good enough. And right now, by the way, one of the things we do work with companies is to run an evaluation on top of Azure and tell you, are you actually getting what you're supposed to get? And in a lot of cases, people think that their posture is one, and their posture is a very different one. Now they have a way to solve this on top of Azure, but that's usually bringing out like a strong Azure kind of specialist to help them rebuild their conditional access policy. That's not on the cheap. And then they need to understand if they need stronger FIDO, because right now some of those things depend on also getting Intune and depending on other things. So they might,
to get the advanced capabilities out of the big guys, call it Microsoft, you actually need to invest. And if you compare it apples to apples with the startups that you can put in addition, you might get to the same place. Exactly. I actually, we've seen it in the SIM space as well, where I'm playing it with hunters. It's interesting. So this week, my company announced very exciting news that we're now built on top of Databricks, as well as Snowflake. So really exciting news for us, because we come with a very new approach for replacing SIM, giving an alternative to SIM. Companies can consolidate the data wherever it is, if they are already, and many of the large organizations use Snowflake, use Databricks for other use cases, but then they go and use QRadar, Logarithm, or they want to go with Microsoft for SIM. We give them an option to still consolidate and go with the big guys in data and get the best analytics, detection, investigation, cross-correlation, response from hunters on top, and they can buy it through the connected app of Databricks, Snowflake, whatever they're using. And
Snowflake,
by
the way, announced their marketplace right now, so you can now buy through Snowflake.
Right. You can procure through Snowflake. You can procure through AWS if you want to have simplicity in procurement. I think when it comes to security, let's say what we believe in, If procurement is the problem, then you can get most of the startup which are cutting edge through either of your resellers, the channel partners, and ease up the friction. If you're using the Optives, the Guidepoint, the Trace 3s, whatever. So you can get each of our solutions through them.
And
you can get it through Marketplace.
Marketplace, both AWS and Azure.
Yeah. So there is a way to still make your procurement guys happy. Thumbs up, not make you a pain, legal, not, yes, you don't want to maybe procure a completely new vendor, small company from Tel Aviv or from Boston. But at the end of the day, do consider the tech because it has advantage at the end of the day from the big guys. Like we can break stuff and make the really cutting edge of technology.
Yes. So now you mentioned Databricks, so it reminded me of something else that was in the conference, which I really liked. They were talking about a concept called data identity engineer, and I don't know, do they have a data security engineer concept? Gartner has been pushing any of that concept with.
We can check with them.
That's worthwhile because right now my Slack is full of a lot of our customers or prospects asking us. So, for example, this week there was an announcement that allegedly Okta has a vulnerability. That's BS. I already posted on that. That you can see if somebody types in in the username field their passwords, that it shows up in the logs. Now, Dimitri came along and said that, hey, if you already have access to the logs, there's so much other things in the logs that that's not.
That's always true. Whomever has an access to logs
has a lot of access to a lot of things. And it also Sasha ran an analysis to show that very few customers actually have that problem, especially those that turn on specific features in Okta to avoid people making that mistake. But the ability for me to have a Sasha that runs that analysis is something that most organizations don't have. And I think this is where they should start thinking of partnering with companies such as ourselves, like your team, Maxon, that we not only have the tool, but we can also run the queries and say, this is what you need. And people need to understand that there's always these data-related questions as you make business-related decisions.
We call it call a friend. So when we have, I think that's one of the biggest advantages of working with startups. Yes, we can attract, talent that maybe the big guys not necessarily, they can pay. But a lot of the great talent in security actually wants to work for the bleeding edge. So we have great talent and we can make them available to our customers. So like if you are asking yourself, and am I exposed to a specific vulnerability, and you don't know how, you don't have the capabilities to go and do the queries yourself and check it out, you have those services, in our case, Team Axon, your team, when it comes to those things. If you see something pops up and you don't know what it means, I am not sure when you call Microsoft how much the guy on support will actually be an expert enough to know.
I'll tell you a funny story that happened this week.
Yeah.
I'm talking to one of our customers, a good friend, and we are exchanging thing, and I'm asking him, dude, did somebody from Uzbekistan hack you? And he said a whole bunch of profanities and flipped me the bird, and then I show him in the logs, and he says, that's just wrong. Look at this IP address. It's a US based IP address. This is the parts of us being a bunch of nerds, and we know who, and I said, yeah, I told him it's either a Zscaler address or a Prism address or Netscope. It looked like one of those proxy servers IP addresses. And we check it in Talos because I always believe that Wachinski is always right. And Talos says it's, yes, we were right. It was a Prism IP address. And
so it's the Uzbekistan.
Just wait for it.
Okay.
Initially, I thought it showed up in our product, and I thought it was our bug.
Okay.
So I reverse it down, and I see that Microsoft, in their logs, alerted the fact that it said that this person came from Uzbekistan, and we're looking at IP info. Thanks for meeting, Ben. It was awesome talking to you this week. So I was looking at IP info's data and with Talos's data that we bring into our product, and no,
So it's their bug potentially.
It's definitely their bug. And I call up Microsoft support, and they said, and they're really nice, and they have a really good path for us, but it's still being researched. In the meantime, a whole bunch of people that have a restrictive policy on geolocation, it blows up if they're using.
Well, bugs happen, right?
Bugs happen. Now we are having an interesting internal discussion of how to present this to the customers, because you can't make Microsoft go away because the policy is impacted by their stuff.
Absolutely.
But we're detecting other stuff.
I mean, you can cross-correlate it with other things and help them make a decision,
Yes.
informed decision.
Yes, but
they
that's
wanna do
on
it.
our platform, not on their platform. They need to know where the enforcement point is. But this is why you need, going back to the data analytics capability, you need to know how to run this analysis, because those things happen all
But
the
that also
time.
plays for the point of having a best of breed, because if you would have just a suite of one stack of products from one vendor, probably you wouldn't be able to say if this is a false
Positive.
or because it's really hard to cross-correlate it. So you may have way more false positives.
And
or
one
bugs
mistake in one of the big guys, one of the mistakes can percolate
everywhere. Yeah, sure.
So that's a little bit of a why you need a data, the data identity engineer, or the identity data engineer, or the security data engineer, the people that can run the queries. And why you need some of our stuff is because then we called up every one of our customers that's an Azure customer and said, hey, you probably have this problem. And a whole bunch of them had like an oh shit thing that they needed to change things in policies, because users did get blocked. Places that have stronger conditional access policies basically blocked out people, and they didn't understand where the problem is coming from. So that's the data identity engineer. The other thing is understanding that you need a holistic platform right now. Gartner's pushing a lot, and it's true for your space and true for my space. The holistic platform that includes both hygiene and threat detection. Because the hygiene part it's a little bit like finding things in your closet. If your closet looks like your closet, finding things in it isn't challenging. If you marry Kondo like me, it's easier to find things because everything has a place and everything is clear. So when you rule out the noise through hygiene, besides reducing the vulnerability aspects, you also are able to see the threats in a clearer way. So I agree completely with Enrique that he's the analyst that is big in our space, that you need to clarify the use cases, be clear, be crisp, and explain this is more on this side, this is more on that side. But not necessarily build two different products for this, but have solutions that work with each other to solve this problem. So the holistic view of the identity platform between IGA, remediation, detection, and hygiene, that holistic platform, and they have very good graphics on the topic. It's worthwhile reading the full report on this, because if you're missing some of these components, you might need to consider what are you missing in your business because you're missing these components.
Okay. You can share a link to the report.
I will. Probably Mike will probably do a better, shorter version of a write-up of this.
Sounds good.
Cool. What else do we want to talk about?
I think we're good for today.
Yes.
We covered a lot. We'll be heading to RSA. So if any of you want to meet with us in person, we're going to be there. So reach out to us and let us know. As always, we would love to have you on the show. So if you want to be on the show, tag yourself, email us, tell us. We're here weekly. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Didi.
Thanks, Lital.
Please follow us and share with friends wherever you get your podcast. We'll be here next week. Goodbye.